Be'ez Hashem Parshas Yisroi, Tafshin Pei. Last two shiurim we spoke about the topic of loneliness, bedidus, what causes it, and how a person could understand what it really is. And every person goes through situations of bedidus, and a person has to work on it to be able to reach the bottom of it and the real mahalach of connecting to the Rebbeinu Shalom. So now let's speak a bit of solutions to the deep feeling of loneliness. So if a person analyzes the feelings of loneliness, it's something that's from within. It means it's not a situation that something is bothering you from the outside. It's something that's deep inside that a person feels something is missing. So people are going to ask, what do you mean? It's not true. It's a situation from the outside that makes me feel like that. Everybody is walking home from shul with son-in-laws and achvezos, and I'm just walking home on my own. It's not an inner thing, it's a fact. And the same is if a person is in prison, whatever it is. It's just a technical situation that's causing me to be lonely. Oh, so that's what we need to learn. The technical situation from the outside triggers that feeling, but the feeling is from within. This is what we need to learn. Any nisoyan could trigger it. A person that doesn't find someone to help them, doesn't have people that understand them, that triggers a certain feeling inside. But the emes pain of being lonely is something inside that's not misuda. Because if a person would fix it, then no matter what, they would be emes, not feel lonely. We're talking about tangible, lemaisa. The person would feel the opposite of lonely. So how do we describe it? What does a person have to do to fix it? And why is it like that? It sounds like loneliness is from the outside. So the answer is like this. A person's neshama, which is the essence of a person, which is this core of the feelings of a person, even practically, that's a person feels and feels alive, is connected to the Rebbeinu Shalom, feels it, knows it, enjoys it, and is fulfilled with that connection. Automatically, that's how it comes. That's the mitzvah of the neshama. Our issue is that we don't feel our neshama. If we don't feel our neshama, we can't be tapping in that feeling of feeling connected, because you have to go through feeling the neshama. The neshama feels connected. But if you only feel your physical presence, if a person only feels their guf and is not connected with their neshama, and they can't feel that relationship. But when the neshama is alive, then it comes along automatically with that feeling of relationship with Hashem. The typical answer, or better, the solution that we gave in the past shiurim about saying Tehillim, is a concept of slowly getting the neshama out of a deep sleep matziv, and then a person is in touch with the Eibishter. Now, but for a lot of people that feels like a high madrega, and they sometimes feel I can't talk, I can't do anything. I'm shut off because I'm going through such pain. So there are steps. There are easier steps that go from the bottom up. But the nakuda of all these solutions is based on get your neshama, feel it. The easiest step for people to start with is to be busy giving to others. Get yourself busy helping others, but with passion. Not a technical thing. That means just forward someone a message that's going to give them chizik. No. Something that involves you. It involves you. Talk to people and give them chizik. Deliver things with love, with geschmack. A package. A help. Nesina is something that wakes up the neshama.
Because that's what the neshama wants to do.
Yeah, because that makes the neshama alive. Like you have a child that's like half dead, not alive. The kid, and then you give the child something the child loves, and all of a sudden, oh, he's back. The neshama loves to be a noisin because that is the midos. It comes from a place of nesina, and you wake it up. It gets woken up. So it's sometimes hard for a person when they're going through and they're struggling and they're suffering to get themselves up and out of bed and go do. I don't want to give to anyone, and I just don't bother me. I want to be in a room locked. Yeah, but you want to help yourself? Do that, then you'll feel the inner person, and that you're going to feel not only sipuk from the outside that you're worth something. It's deeper than that. Person starts feeling the connection to the Rebbeinu Shalom because they're feeling the neshama. As simple as that. If you feel the neshama, you're going to feel not only fulfilled and choshev, but you're going to feel close. You're going to have. Why? Because it is like that. Because that the neshama is connected. But for a person to continue on the path, let's say you don't have who to give, or you want to go weiter. This is what we want to get to. Something very important. The real mahalach above the Chelek HaMaisa from Gemilas Chasodim is for a person to connect through Torah and Tefillah. But here is the name of the game. And Torah and Tefillah doesn't have to be while you're davening or while you're learning. Because when a person is walking in the street or helping at home or taking care of something very technical for 3 hours in a row, you don't have a problem to be busy with Torah and Tefillah, B'Shas Maisa, on the minimal, or you ask Hashem, shall give you Siyata D'Shmaya while you're doing it, playing what you're doing. Or a person is thinking of a nice idea that's connected with what they're doing. They thought of something nice. Anything like that is enough, because it's the concept of Torah. It's a little bit of Torah. It's a little bit of Tefillah. For the nakuda of loneliness, a person has to be able to awaken a deeper part of their neshama. And that could be done through Torah and Tefillah, but the main nakuda here is like this. What we are struggling so badly in our generation is because people are not focusing, not concentrating. They're not allowing their nefesh to be at one place at a time. It has a name. When people are multitasked, they spread themselves thin. Maybe you could use that expression and many others. That means they don't have the bandwidth.
Yeah,
I mean,
the computer can't too much. Yes,
it's spread out. That means a person in today's generation, the nefesh, that means the soul, the essence of the person, the mind. Let's call it the mind. The mind and the feelings of the person are divided by 35, a lot of different parts of their life that have no shaykhs one with each other. When the Damash Manesra and one child comes up in the mind, it takes so much, and then they find themselves 10 brachos later also thinking about that child. The child is a tick, it's a story. It's part of them, it's a child, it's not a joke. Child is struggling terribly. And then the other struggle, the same child, starts, and then different child, and then there's a parnosa issue, and then there's a technical issue. We are constantly in so many different places at once. This, if we think about it very practically, is the number one reason why we can't feel relationships, why we can't be close, and if that's the case, then we're going to feel lonely. Not long ago, someone told me about a life story. He was there. It's very unfortunate. I mean, not geschmack to even mention it. But a chassan that was under the chuppah, and he was busy with his phone by his own chuppah. I mean, if it could get to there.
I want to send that to people.
Yeah, that means. But I wouldn't go that far. If sometimes you say in extreme case, you lose the focus of the zach itself. If I want to have a simple relationship with a person, and while we sat down to eat a meal and try to catch up with each other's lives, and show that we care about each other. I'm going to be busy on the phone or taking care of even very important technicals, very, very important. Just a second, he's polite. And he's like 3.5 minutes on the phone. Not an hour. 3.5 minutes back and forth. And then he's like, okay, so we were up to, so how's it going? Oh, attack. He said, just a second, you don't mind? No, I'm sorry, it's something very important. It makes no difference if it is important or it's not important. It's not the name of the game. It's just the fact that the other person would say, maybe tomorrow will work better. Nobody's mad. But it doesn't work like that. Because relationships is deep. And it has to do with being here and not being anywhere else. Then slowly, the soul, our insides, could meet. It takes time. If it's 2 minutes in a row, it's not enough. Usually, the first 15 minutes is cold. It's technical. It's trying. If it works, if it hits off, then the last 15 minutes of the hour. How do people always say when they're with their therapist or when they're going out? They say it was such a shod because the last 10 minutes, that's when I finally felt something, and then we had to go. You know that sentence? What's the pshat? The pshat because it's something deep, so it doesn't happen the first 10 minutes. If it's not that. It's so simple. It's Rom Shuter. So now back to our relationship with Rebbeinu Shalom. It's so real. It's so emes. People get sometimes upset. So we're going to tell me to have a shaykhs with Eibusher just instead. You know what It's so powerful, and it's for every Yid and every Madrega. It's not a high zah. It's not Madrega. It's just you never tried it. It's from inside. You don't have to make it happen. A person feels it, and it's there. All of us, we need to get to that place. Just quiet, a little bit of quiet, a little bit of being with yourself.
Sounds like this would be the prescription.
If you want to call it dafka like that, you could call it like that, but that's the Metzias. His boydus could be a person sitting by the Gemara, but you have to leave go of not being concentrated, of not being focused, and try to continue it on as long as you could. Let's speak normal, half an hour, 3/4 an hour, hour and a half, in one matzav that you are. Sometimes you could go even more poshet. So many people kill it with schmoozing with others. They could have had it. They said to them their Shabbos in their house before davening. So they daven in a place, they daven 9:30. They got up 7 o'clock. You have the ability, not always, because there's little kids running around. Could be the place that you learn is like in the kitchen and it's not working out. But for many people, it's still quiet. It could be 6 o'clock. No offense, And a lot of times a person needs to be not tired to be able to be focused. Even with Hashem. Same thing. You have to be here. Sometimes people feel they're going to be big over, they're not going to sleep. They can't connect. Person feels they slept as much as they need. Every person with their needs. Now, don't disconnect. Connect. Say to them, sing. Look slowly, build this relationship. And then a person doesn't feel lonely. At kedei kach, they don't want to meet anybody and schmooze with them right now. It's so fulfilling. It's so close. And Shabbos in the morning is an example because most people don't have their phones then. And if you're also davening later, you're not running. And it's quiet out there. So a person could do it, of course, in the middle of the week whenever they need to. But leave go. And be with the Rebbeinu Shalom. And be focused. That's Tanai number 1. Condition, the zweite condition is that what ruins relationship is when the toxic environment. In Shalom Bayis, or whenever it is, when it's let's say two mechutana meet. This is after the whole story with the money. This is, it's so nice they came to a simcha, but something was going on there in the last kufa. So I could smile and I could wünsch a lot of Yiddish nachas for the Pidin Aben, but it's not that. When there's no strings attached, many times it's because it's a person that I taka don't have any tightness because first time meeting him is again an issue for relationships. When a person is broigus, a person has a shtickle a taina, that is a killer for relationships to be deep, geschmack, and to be able to be oikedis loneliness. The shiluv of a person that really wants to show a koras hatoiv and has no tightness, and is focused, will be the formula for a person to emes feel connected. Now, again, once a person felt it once, and twice, and three times, then a person could go weiter, how they could try to exercise this idea, even when it's not Shabbos in the morning and it's quiet and everything's going on. That's the next step. But once a person chaps is that it's basically these two conditions. Being there all the way, how do they call it in English? Being the person's whole, your mind should be here in Gansen. There's a word for it.
Being present.
Living in the moment.
Living in the moment. Being here. And not being distracted. Not the mind goes away, but say, come right back. Come right back. Don't let yourself be all over the place. A person, it has a lot to do with the decision of the person. The person decides that I want to disconnect. The it finish. Just I don't care. Not important for now. Sometimes you see a phone call comes. I don't want to pick up. I don't need it now. I'm not interested. Plus, a person doesn't have tightness. It's going to happen to a person. That's the emes cure that the Eibishter gave us in the Torah. That should help us on a daily basis. It should help us, and it helps, and it makes a person be'emes. It gives the strength. It gives a person has feeling, and a person feels life, and a person can do it in any matzav. A woman in the kitchen, there's no problem. Our bobas, our grandparents, that's what they did when they made chalas. That means they spoke to Hashem, help this child. I thank you for this child. I have so much hakoras hatov.
The idea of singing, that people sing.
Sure. Singing is something that is helping the person be focused because it involves more chushim, more senses of the person. So the person should stay here. If it's not dry, more of the person is present. All of that. Now, if we think back a few years, this was natural. This was normal. Today, if we find a person singing just because, we look at it like a bit funny. Only Bluetooth is normal. It wasn't like that. That means more and more people are feeling lonely, and if you go outside our circles, more and more people are committing suicide from loneliness. More and more. I said on social media, and people could feel and be connected all over the place. The answer is, I'm talking about simple, Poshet. Poshet is, because if a person would have social media with one person, it could have helped. But if you are replying to 17 people about 17 Zachen at once, it's something simple. The nefesh doesn't connect. The nefesh is all over the place, or you're connecting here, going in and out. A person can feel that inside. Now, the embassy relationship a person has with their Rebbeinu Shalom. And that's the idea why a person came onto this world. Now, for a person who doesn't like this kind of talk, and they want to have better solutions for loneliness, more practical, you could start from the bottom up. That means you should try to call people. We could go there, but let's remember. This is a tachlis why a person came onto this world. Clear-cut goal. And that we call sometimes dvekus in the Rebbeinu Shalom. To simplify that word, for a person to feel that the Eibishter is Lemaisa, the one that they're close with, and all the rest is Amal Nish, and you're focused with the Rebbeinu Shalom, and you don't have tightness in the Eibishter. So that's called working on Dveikus. Very simple. Be aware, you're not only, it's not a zeitige Zach. Don't try to say, no, I don't like that Eitzah. Could you give me a different Eitzah? You're allowed to say, could you have something to hold on when I'm still climbing? I don't feel I'm up to there. Okay, that makes sense. But if you want to just not use this mahalach, just different mahalach, this religion works like that. The mahalach is that a person always is going to go through matzavim, and the Eibusha designed it that way. Bedavke. Here, someone leaves their circle. Here, someone embarrassed them. Here, they relied on someone. That person just walked away and left them hanging. They wish to design the world to be that way for a person to be able to stay focused, because the person has to chap that they don't really have anybody. The person has to chap it. So it's very good in geschmack to shmooze. But if you find yourself lonely, you're at the verge of Gan Eden. If you find yourself, that means you're much closer to truth. Don't now turn around and try to get something that's anyways going to fall apart for sure. That means you're there. You're feeling lonely. Very good. It's from the outside that's triggering that you don't have that inside. So let's work on the real emes. The Tifer Shloime says, the mem miptoich ben adivim. He asks a question. It says, Tov lachzes l'Hashem miptoich ben adivim. It sounds like, listen, you have Nedivim, you have Hashem. I would choose Hashem. Tov lachzes is like, that's the better one. You're not comparing apples to apples. How could you say that? As I frag the Tifer Shloime. So he says, the mem in Lashon Kodesh doesn't have to mean rather Hashem than the Nedivim. The mem min Nedivim could mean you get to the Tov L'Achzis L'Hashem, you reach the understanding after being boiteach in people that have money, after you trusted them, and you got the taste of your behavior, and you saw how they just walked away and left you hanging. Then that's a Tov L'Achzis L'Hashem, because now you know it, because you have tried it already, and it failed the other mahalach. But the Eibusha continuously gives us little bits and pieces to get to that end goal. Throughout our life, the Eibusha sends us toiv and people around us that care for us, which is really Hashem helping it happen. And b'chlal, this is the shefan and the culminate successes that a person has in life. But then the Eibusha is going to help a person always have these little areas where they have nobody gets them there. Nobody could help them. It's not something they could even discuss. And those areas are dafka designed so a person could think about it. I have the Rebbeinu Shalom, and he's with me, and he understands me, and helps me, and let me be with him. Let me be with him. This is the mitzvah of Dveikus, and this is what something a person is supposed to that means try and work and continue growing in this area. That's the tachlis. It's bemis the tachlis of this whole yisoid that's called loneliness. Another nakuda which is very interesting. Later on, the Chovos Halvavos mentions that when a person, there's the milas, there's the good part of bedidus. That means the positive side to it. When a person is around people and has close friends and sits with them or enjoys them. So someone enlightened me, he showed me that the Chovos Halvavos calls it Mailas habedidus. That means the good part of it. L'choyer, if a person has friends, then they're not lonely. It's not the good side. It's not the positive side. It's just not negeya. Like, no thanks, I'm not lonely. So he pointed out that when a person meets with a close friend, then it's another mahalach of touching your inner neshama and feeling close because your be'em is feeling close to Hashem. This is a Hasidic feeling which comes around a lot, when people sit, man verbringt zusammen. Shabbos, if you gather, you sing a little bit, you talk, a concept of it is Hashem. It's something that people don't necessarily chap what's happening. If it's done in the proper mahalach, the good oifim, it's natural, there's a hava. Sometimes people can think, well, one second, wasn't I supposed to be only with Hashem? So why did they tell me to go sit with others? I'm supposed to be myself.
Those are also neshamas.
The answer is they're neshamas. If they're neshamas, they light up your neshama. So when a person has a quality conversation, usually quality conversation is when it's mashpiyah makabel. That means there's a setup. We're not like schmoozing and going from one in to the next. That's just pushing. It means we sit and we try to learn. And it's Masuda. What happens is that the neshama just learned something now. So the neshama woke up. So by sitting, one neshama makes you feel the other neshama when they meet. So then, that is one of the very, very best moments that a person could feel what they need to feel. And it's another Eitzah, which is not Dafka, that he's Boidudus Eitzah. Happens to be, if you look at the Shoyrish of the word is Boidudus, it's Bedidus. That means, of course, he's Boidudus Eitzah for Bedidus, because you're doing Bedidus with Hashem. The same is when you're doing Bedidus with your friends. That's what's so interesting. Now, people of Amos feel they come after such a matziv. If someone and the day have to work, then that person gets him. It's not the pshat that you have him, and then maybe I'm wrong. No, if you feel you have the Rebbeinu Shem, you need to speak to a friend. It's a way of feeling yourself. Especially when a person talks the richtige Sachen, that it's not wasted time, and they try to analyze. They don't just want to. People sometimes want to vent for hours and hours, and still be right afterwards. Also, that's not necessarily what we're talking about right now. But a person should chap it. It's possible to get it ignited. That means the neshama you should feel it, zusammen mit andere, and it should be the real bedidus. This gets us to the next dark. The next dark is, Tzadikim said, a person has to be able to do Gilgul Sheleg in a warm bed, and a person has to be able to do his boidus between 1,000 people. Let's explain. This concept is a very, very important concept. Sometimes, you know what Gilgul Sheleg is. The person that rolls on the ice and the snow, and there are people that do it. Today's generation, just now, Friday, Bishalach, Thursday or Friday. The two brothers that they after they fast the whole week, they do Gilgul Shalak that Thursday or Friday. I don't remember, but this Gilgul Shalak, so it's not so comfortable for the body. But the question is, if a person has the ability to do Gilgul Shalak without having the ice and the snow, just they have their matziv, but in their mind, that's where they are. They're not enjoying, they're not taking pleasure from the warm, they're so connected to the Rebbeinu Shlem. So by Gilgul Shalak, it's hard for us to understand, because we have no shaykhs, not to this gear of it, not the other. So it's hard for us to comprehend what it means. But by Bedidus, which that's really what we need to discuss, once a person chaps that feeling, then comes the avodah of being able to do it within 1,000 people. It means they're not living off the feedback now, or trying to see everything that's going on. They're in their own world.
It's in the Shayura, it's near Lechus, and the Gemara is Achnosas Kala, Levoyas Ames. It's very strange, because those are both things.
Lots of people. Halvoyas Ames, and the Gemara says, what's near Lechus? A person has to be able to be around others and totally connect to that place. Now, it's a special art to be able to do it when people are telling you hi, mazel tov, all kinds of situations, and continue being where you are. You're with them, and the Ramban talks about it in Parshas Eikev in the end, Rodov Kaboy, that even when you talk to others, you try to be connected to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Now, it sounds like a very, very high madrega, but it isn't. I mean, I'm sure there's very high dargas to this concept, but when a person is very, very connected to one thought, even when he speaks to others, his subconscious never leaves this situation that he's in. By a simcha, sometimes. But you watch people, their best friend came to their chasana. They spoke to their friend in the morning, and their friend is here and has the same friend same day. But now I'm with him. Thank you so much for coming. But part of him is by where he is. A person that learns how to do it could stay focused. And the Erlich Tzadikim, they do it on a fascinating life. Today's generation, fascinating. They're constantly b'yishuv adas. They're constantly focused. They're with you, but they're serving the Rebbeinu Shalom. So they can give you part of their nefesh. They're with you, they help you, they care for you. But they have that natural Yireh Shamayim while they're doing that.
How does he David with Talmidei Chachamim? Is that also an answer? We both see book. So David with Talmidei Chachamim.
Hidovik b'Talmidei Chachamim is unfortunately abused in today's generation to many different versions that doesn't necessarily mean that. And the real reason is because the masses, it was given for the masses, so shallow people would do it the shallow way. So it has nothing to do with Hidovik Talmidei Chachamim. But the real Hidovik Talmidei Chachamim is very simple. Why? That gives you that connection, that feeling. Because if you have a real Erlich Yid, and you watch as Yireh Shamayim, sometimes you could see their simcha and the Yireh Shamayim at the same time. They're upbeat, they're positive, but they have that seriousness and that responsibility. Okay, they're serving Hashem that way, and it's fascinating to watch. And then Hashem is showing on them. Divine. How do you say? You see the Shekhinah. Now, when you walk away after experiencing, if it's a davening, if it's Gemilas Chasadim, whatever it was that you were around the Talmud Chacham, when you walk away, you're touched. Something inside you moved. Why is that? Because you met the truth. You saw oh wow, that's what they mean. And then you reminded yourself, I may have a long way to go. So that connects you with the Rebbeinu Shalom. That it's like it creates like a Mashiach for a person. I wish I could also. So you think about Hashem, and it wakes up. It awakens as a desire to be close to Hashem. So this is the emes, and sometimes it's hard for people to accept it when they want to have a cosmetic solution for their loneliness. But Hashem knows better, and Hashem knows better, and it's good for a person to try to do it. And we mentioned the previous shiurim of more than one person that mamash firsthand that when they left, they were in prison for this amount of years, that amount of years, and afterwards they tried again to do whatever they could to feel again that kesher with the Rebbeinu Shalom, and that was because they were in a situation that they be'emes didn't have who to speak, so they were focused and they were matzliach to overcome their emotions and adarabah, love the Rebbeinu Shalom, and then they felt that they're not successful to do it again, so they wish they could have that matzav again. That just shows us how real, how emes, and we're talking about stories from today's generation in Gansa. It's just an emes azach. So a person that popular is not popular, a person has to try to work to have that type of life. And then of course, once you do that, it helps in so many different areas. Because then you're not so busy what people are saying, and you're not so busy pleasing people. You're busy with your best friend. And then a person realizes, because if it's so close, then they realize that this generates the strongest bitachon. The strongest bitachon. Once a person feels that closeness, then they automatically rely. They don't only believe. They feel that Hashem is taking care, and Hashem is not gonna just leave go. So that's why it's so important to work on the social matzavim of a person, because if you're so deeply connected with everybody, popular person, then you're totally disconnected from the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's a challenge, and especially for people that are Geshmaka connectors. But if you're a connector, then you could connect to the Rebbeinu Shalom easy. So do it, utilize it, and everything else will become like second. Okay, Tan L'Chacham Yach Kamoid.